Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Power of Man podcast. My name's Rory Paquette. I know you know that, but I just like to remind myself about who's sitting in this chair and how grateful I am to be the guy doing it. Folks, thank you so much for everything you've done ever since we made the move to 7 days a week. You folks have been just unbelievable. The downloads, the sharing, the subscribing, the DMs are off the charts. Folks, thank you so much. If you're not out there doing what you're doing, I can't sit here and do what it is I'm doing. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You all know what time it is. If you're a friend of the program, it's time to, pay some bills. So let me take a sip of my preferred beverage. Man, it's fantastic stuff. You guys all know what we're drinking. That's right. It's Freedom Hill Coffee at Freedom Hill Coffee on Instagram. Deep, dark, rich, bold, and beautiful. Just like my wife. They brew a mean cup of Joe. It's absolutely fantastic. They do all the right things for all the right reasons. And they support veterans, which you guys all know is vitally important here at the Power Man podcast. Thank you all for your service, folks. You guys all know who you are. Folks, they support veterans. That's why we support them. Go check them out. Freedom Hill Coffee at Freedom Hill Coffee on Instagram. They're fantastic. Go get some of this coffee. It's fresh brewed, delicious, and you can get cups and stuff too. It's not as cool as my IU cup, but they're all right. One more sip so I can keep up with this gentleman on the other side of the table from me today. All right, there we go. Ah, delicious stuff. And we will be drinking that throughout the episode. Folks, we have a fantastic guest with us today, which some cutting edge stuff that in the 5 minutes that I spent talking to him about this, it's already blowing me away. But I know a lot of you guys are going to want to hear about this. Um, this is this gentleman is a master practitioner of NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and a family relationship coach. Folks, please welcome Michael Blair to the podcast. Michael, how you doing today?
I'm better now that I'm here, Roy. The only thing I regret right now is I don't have your magnificent voice. That's the only regret, but otherwise I'm happy.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Thanks for that. Michael, let everybody know who is Michael Blair? What are you about and what brings you here today, brother?
Well, I appreciate just being called a brother because that's how I see you and see the VA brothers out there. We're all brothers in so many different ways, except for the sisters, of course, they're sisters. But um, it's who am I and what am I doing? I'm just a little Southern Utah guy out here doing my thing. I feel pretty humbled. I feel very deeply about what I'm doing, and I'm excited to share with this group of people today, with you guys, what I'm doing here. This is nothing ordinary. We're doing something extraordinary here. It took me a lot of years, maybe 30, well, let's see, about 25 years anyway, doing lots of things the other way, the old way. And somewhere around 12, 15 years ago, I was introduced to a concept through NLP called the dynamic spin release. Chris and Tim taught it to me. I saw it, caught it, and grabbed it and implemented it in my practice. And I've done it for, I don't know, 25 years now, so something like that. But anyway, a lot of years, 20 years roughly. And and I have seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who have just been able to take charge of themselves emotionally and their thoughts, their feelings, their behaviors in ways they had no clue they could do. I mean, you've got a grandson who's annoyed by his sister. He comes to you and he says, I'd really like to improve that. And you go, okay, so what would you say? You don't know what to do you? You have no idea. And no, neither does anybody else that I know.
Hmm.
But I do. I can tell you. So the grandson sat down with me and we ran through this real simple process. It's really shorter than 10 minutes, but I say 10 minutes, give us adequate time. And at the end of it, he looked at me sheepishly and he said, I just love my sister. I asked him a few weeks later. I said, how's it working? He said, actually really good. I mean, this kid tells me the truth. He's not lying to me. And I said, sometimes I have to tweak it a little bit, but it's working pretty good. His mom said to me, now, if you just do that with my daughter, that'd be great. I will, but not yet. And so I could go on and I'll tell you another story for fun that was fresh yesterday. Now, this is not about well, it does have emotions in it, this is to whet your appetite to what we're going to talk about today here. So my niece, what is she, 55 years old, and she just learned this process about a week ago, and she's got a pain in her mouth, and it's hurting her, and she is worried and upset and frustrated and anxious about going to the dentist and getting it fixed and so forth. She said, "Well, Jeff, I'm going to do this spin on my mouth and on this process." And she did that in 10 minutes, and it was the pain just began to diminish and diminish and diminish because she dealt with the feelings that were tied to the pain that
Hmm.
were there. And so when she went to the dentist, he said, "That's the best tooth in your mouth." It's like, what? Are you kidding me? You can't shift pain, physical pain out like that. Well, guess what? You can. This particular tool was discovered when Tim said to her, "Hey, try it this way." On her headache, he did this spin out on the headache, a little different twist, and her headache went away. Boom, just like that. And they said, "I guess we got something pretty interesting here now. I guess we better develop this." So they spent years in Japan teaching dynamic spin release in that format to the therapist community, if you will. And I was meanwhile back doing all my direct link to my clients. And finally, I decided this has got to be given to the public. This has to be given to the common man because it doesn't need to be kept for a therapist to apply or for a coach to apply. We don't have to wait around for them because this is doable at home. And many people said to me, when they saw me at Walmart, they said, "Hey, you still doing that spin thing?" And I'm going, "Yeah, I am." And you love it? "Yeah, I love it. I do it all the time. It's great." Anyway, so I wrote a book called When in Doubt, Spin It Out, which is really just an introduction to what we're doing. And inside of the book on page 39, there's a QRS code. By the way, you can listen to this on Audible, and there's a code there too. And
Okay.
it's like 3, 5, it's about what, under $10 anyway on Audible. It's more expensive for the book, but the book has some advantages to it as well. So anyway, bottom line is I wrote this book with the help of a really nice writer friend, Paulette's her name, and she just helped me take the mess and make it into something good. Anyway, so the book it's not like a bestseller because it's not long enough. It's under 100 pages, you know, and it takes about an hour to listen and an hour to read, either way. And it just gives you another perspective, and you don't know what you don't know. You don't know. What most people don't know is that they can actually take charge of how they feel. So if I'm angry at you because you got a great voice and I don't have one, then I can go inside with the spin and I can spin that right out of me. And you know what? But you're good looking and I like you anyway. See, you're good. You're a nice
Okay.
guy.
All right.
Even though you've got your voice up on me, I can knock out my anger. Boom, just like that in about less than 10 minutes. Anyway, so let's suppose you're a VA, a vet,
Mhm.
and you've been in treatment for PTSD for years, and you still have nightly dreams about that explosion or that incident, whatever it was.
Right.
I'm going to tell you right now, and this will be at the crosshairs of many people. They won't believe this. I can tell you that in a very short period of time, less than 3 to 7 sessions or meetings, that can be completely gone. The memory's gone. All that's left, excuse me, the memory stays, but the feelings are gone. The feelings are gone, which keep driving the memories. When the feelings are gone, or shall we say, processed out effectively, and you know how to do that with this kind of a tool, and there's another one also, then what happens is you are free and you do not need to go back to those meetings and regurgitate at those meetings all of the things that happen and feel actually maybe as bad or worse. So instead of all
Hmm.
of the talk therapy that goes on forever and never seems to solve very much, it's kind of like an antidepressant. It's great for keeping maybe some depression down, but doesn't fix it. What's the problem with where's the depression coming from? Well, you may not even know. So we have processes in addition to the spin that are designed, recipes that are carefully built for 35 years that really work, that people don't even know exist. They don't even know. All the money that's spent in on treatments that don't get it done. I I think it's a little bit like in the pharmaceutical world. If you find an alternative product that works better than the pharmaceuticals, they're going to buy you out,
Right.
right?
Okay.
So
All right.
people what I've got, they buy me out, but they don't know, so it's okay.
I mean, I was going to say this. You already know this flies completely in the face of any conventional wisdom that we've all been, hit with over
I
the
know.
years. So, and I know you already know that going in. Plus, I want to point out you've had 30 years in the mental health field here.
Oh yeah.
So it's not like you just decided to coach last week and said, "Hey, I know better than everybody else." I mean, this is, decades of you researching, being educated in the field, the whole nine yards. And you feel that confident in this thing that you would say that you can, cure something like PTSD. Because, I mean, that's a huge statement to make.
I usually find that people cure it themselves with the right direction, with the right tool. Okay. It's like I can teach you how to build your house with your hammer. You can also hit yourself in the knee over and over with it. You can
Right.
build a house if you know how, and this is what we know how to do this now. It isn't rocket science really. It's really not magic really, but all good healing feels like magic anyway. It's like, oh well, those feelings went away. I can't believe it.
Okay. So this is, I mean, obviously you don't want to give away the secret sauce. You want to, teach people how to do this, but by the same token, I can't take on a comment like that, about PTSD without at least saying how in the world.
Yeah.
Can you give us an idea of maybe how it works so that we could, start to ponder it?
If I'll even walk you through a basic process and show you how to knock out suicide very quickly for most people, not everybody, but
Yeah,
for and I can't say all PTSDs. I'm going to say most PTSDs. I'm going to say
sure.
the common situation responds very well to this with spin plus another recipe we have also that takes a broader based comprehensive approach. And I'm not going to talk about that so much today, but because we're talking spin, but spin can do it for the right situations, and then the other can do more if it needs to. Okay.
Okay.
Well, for right now, I'm gonna ask you a question, Roy. Can you think of a negative feeling that you have had recently towards somebody or something, or that you don't have to tell me what it is, even just you feel angry, you feel frustrated, you feel, you know, worried, whatever.
Yes.
That one? I don't even have to hear about the details, believe it or not. And most of the time, the historicity gets in the way of the healing. It makes it worse. Maybe, and or possibly. So I'll leave it there. So all you're going to do is tell me now, where do you feel that is what's the word? Anger?
Sure.
Okay. Where do you feel that in your body?
Um, I probably in my chest, like right up here.
Yeah, good.
Uh,
Not everybody can do that, but you can. That's good. So now notice what happens when you imagine yourself pulling that right out of your body and making it into a shape and a color. Tell me what the shape and color are when you do that.
um, I guess it's square and it's black.
Okay. Notice which way that it tends to spin that black square when you feel that anger.
I guess it's sort of side to side,
Yeah, good.
that way, not up and down.
Yeah, that's good enough for us.
Okay.
Now take and reverse the direction of that spin and run at high speed like the speed of a tornado. Like spin it out. high speed, spin, opposite direction, spin it out, and when you're done and it's disappeared, tell me how you disappeared it.
Hmm. Okay. I mean, I just kind of pictured that. Um, I reversed the direction, got it spinning, with my finger like a basketball on your finger or something. And then it literally just flew out.
What's fun is that right now that feeling is not bothering you like it was before. It's
No,
like it's like it's gone, right?
it's a lot less. Yeah.
Okay, it's at least
Yeah.
less or more. It's at
Yeah.
least
I mean, it
less.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, like the eye of a storm or something like that, right?
Sure.
And so let me just pause right here. This is how fast that someone who is feeling suicidal can step out of the trance of suicidal ideation. That's how fast. I'm not saying it's the fix, but it's the break the state option.
Hmm.
I'm going to tell you right now, if I could talk to the 988 guys and give them this, I would give it to them. No charge, just to help out. But just to this point, but the next point, the next pieces of this puzzle are critical in holding that out. And so I'm going to tell you I'm going to talk about this, and some of you are going to go, well, if you could just take the weir out of woo, because it feels like woo, but it does seem weird, but it just flat out works. Sorry, it does. Like a
Okay.
good cup of coffee, man. It just works, right?
Right. You don't question it. You just
Oh,
take it and you just have faith in it. It's going to work.
yeah. Well, that's pretty much what happens here.
Hmm.
And so the next part of the step I'm going to tell you, I don't know if I want to walk you all the way through yours. I could if you want me to, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit instead of taking you through it just because of time and stuff like
Okay.
that.
Sure.
So what I want you to do is what I would ask you to do then is find me three feeling states that you'd like to plug in instead of what you did have with the anger, like peace and love or courage or whatever they are. You can go ahead and find those for me if you want to.
Um, yeah, I'd say probably security, um, loyalty, and ease comes to mind. I'm not
Yeah,
sure what that means, but ease pops into my
doesn't
head.
whatever it means to you. I don't
Okay.
really. So I would ask for you to breathe that right in through that chest area and breathe it into every aspect and area of your being. So far, I think we're in pretty safe territory. Just breathe all those good feelings in. Okay. Then, once you've done that, I would ask you to weave all three of those into the fabric of your personality in a very creative, powerful, and permanent way. Now, that's a little bit out there, but you can do it. People do it all the time.
Okay.
When that's done, I would ask that you take all three of those with you down your timeline from your current body age all the way down to the youngest you that would best benefit from having those installed in you. And you install them, and when you're done installing, tell me how old he is.
Like how far back you went?
Yeah, how young are you installing those three into him?
I feel like it's probably 5 or 6, kindergarten.
Look at how fast you drop back into your younger you. Right there. You did
Yeah.
that. Just
Yeah.
sounds like woo-woo to me, but no, it's working, isn't it? You can feel it. Yeah, it's happening. And then take him by the hand at 6 or 7 and with all those gifts installed to help him along his journey, walk him up the rest of the way to your current body self. When he gets to the age of your current body, current age, then then you melt him into you or integrate him or just breathe him right into you so you become one with him.
Hmm.
And yeah,
Okay.
then you walk into the future and notice how these wonderful gifts will have benefited you in the hours, days, weeks, months, and years ahead. just notice how they help you in your life ahead.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, just participating in it, sort of halfway like that. I mean, I obviously feel a bit better,
Yeah.
but that's interesting visualization. I kind of get what you're doing there. Hmm. So you walk somebody through this process. How long does the process take normally if you're walking somebody through
Oh,
and they're not hosting a podcast, they can really concentrate. You know.
probably 8 minutes, probably.
Hmm.
I say 10 a lot, but and it can be really fast. I've gotten
Hmm.
so fast I can just think about the spin and change the feeling, just like
Wow.
that. So, and not all the time. Sometimes I have deeper things I have to take myself through. And usually these things hold. Now, if, for example, somebody didn't get all the anger out, then I would ask for a second spin or a third spin. And I'll give you an example of that. Guy comes to me from Universal Studio on the phone one night and says, I'm having trouble on the rides. I'll let them put those straps on me. I'm just makes me crazy. I feel, and so he's yelling and screaming and embarrassed. And his kids are looking at him like, "What are you doing?" And and so he calls me on the phone 7 o'clock. I have a free 15-minute piece I do with my people, and we walk him through for what's happening with claustrophobia. We think, and then we get. I ask him, "How you doing? What percentage better are you feeling?" He said, "Oh, about 50%." I said, "Well, let's see what's missing." And what was missing was something else. It was entrapment. He felt entrapped at work, at home, and all these places. And we walked that one. We did the spin through that one, and that was the one that finished him. That is the one that let him get back on the rides.
Hmm.
So all those two spins together, properly done with a little bit of expertise that case, I had some expertise. See, he was able to all the way, and so he didn't need to call me back. He was riding the rides, enjoy himself.
Interesting. So the spin technique that you're talking about, this tool, it's not the same for everybody then. I mean, it sounds like is it different questions, depending on what you're dealing with.
Pretty close to the same map works with most people. If you go to my QR code and you go to the landing page in the book,
Hmm.
you'll find a walkthrough by me. Just plug whatever it is and I'll walk you through it. It won't be quite as nice as having me there because I can't help you through to the next level, maybe. And that's where some advanced opportunities for coaching and so forth exist. But for practical purposes, a lot of people can do their basic speed bumps of life really easily that way.
Hmm.
There's even a copy of it inside of the book there, inside of that QR code. Okay. So let's give you a couple of other examples. So this is a family model. And so I want everybody to know this is something that's not only for the individual to take care of themselves and take charge of their feeling states. And it takes some repetition sometimes to get it done. Sometimes. Other times it's one and done. But let's take a guy from the Midwest calls me and says, my wife is well, I'm mad at me. She's mad at me because I got a wandering eye and she's betrayed. She feels betrayed. So we fix the wandering eye with whatever we do, and he learns how to understand or listen to her. And one day he says, "Would you like to get past that betrayal?" And she said, "Really, I would like to." She softened a lot. Took a while. It takes women a while to soften before they're even ready to consider that kind of a change. And so she said, "Would you do a spin with me?" And he said, "Okay." So he did the spin, and he's just a country boy out there. I mean, he's just like anybody, anywhere. Great guy. I love him. And 10 minutes later, they were tight. She was free from that betrayal and felt connected to him. She says, "Can we call our son? He's got anxiety." They call the son, it helps his anxiety. The wife sitting there says, "Can I have some of that for my depression?" And it helps that. They call the daughter away from home, homesick, and it helps that. He's out in the Caribbean, 10 foot of water. He's starting to feel afraid of drowning. His wife says, "Remember the spin." He does the spin right there on the spot. He remembers that and straightens up, and he's fine, no problem with the water. He wants to go down a zip line. He's afraid of the zip line. He fixes that, goes down the zip line just fine. This is just one little family. So my outcome is to install this into the families of this country, maybe the world, but for right now, the country, that are ready and willing and able to participate with me in learning how to install this as mom and dad, dad and mom. So they then become the experts in the family with their children, and the children also can learn through some hands-on with us if they want, or with the mom and dad. And what happens is if you then orchestrate a daily, like a morning miracle, miracle mornings, you orchestrate a miracle morning for the family most all days of the week. And they habituate this, becomes a habit. They become accustomed to using it regularly as they need to, for sure. They check on it, they monitor it, they take the speed bumps out as they go. What happens is those children have the greatest gift that keeps on giving than you could ever give them. They have the ability to take care of themselves instead of going to a mental health professional who may or may not know how to take care of them.
Interesting.
They may
So
never need
you're
it.
teaching families how to teach themselves how to take care of themselves.
Yeah, so we built a course, and actually it's starting this next Monday. I don't know if this pod match is going to be on there. Uh,
It takes a little while for these to come out.
so if you
Yeah.
don't make this one, you can make the next one, or the one that's just go to my website,
Okay.
go to at go to Michael at when in doubt dot excuse me, Michael at when in doubt spin it out dot com. Okay, so
Okay.
or to just go to my website, when in doubt, spin it out.com. Anyway, probably the email would be best, and request the time for the next one. This is a free class, 3 1-hour segments on usually a Monday and a Tuesday and a Wednesday. And it's on Zoom, and it's, like I said, free. And it will be entertaining. It will be life-changing just by itself to attend that. And we will lead people to a process that we have in a package form if they want it. They don't have to. If people want to do it themselves, that's great. But if they need some community, they need some accountability, and they need some additional expertise, then they come, and on a professional level, we help them to install that with incentives for the kids and the parents. They install that in so it becomes a lifelong install piece instead of just, oh, it's on the shelf over there. We never, we're not gonna, that was fun, but we're not doing it every day.
Interesting.
So,
So the course and the stuff that you're doing, is that directly the spin, so to speak, or is that what you said earlier, like a spin on the spin, like your take?
well, it is this spin we did today.
Hmm.
It, but it also includes the the finer points of how to use that effectively, as well as the something we call the 490 self-forgiveness plan. We find that most people don't know how to self-forgive, even though they got a God that forgave them, a friend that forgave them, they just don't forgive themselves.
Right.
So I have a very simple, fun, I don't charge for this, and I'm not going to tell it to you right now, but it is so powerful by itself that sometimes it's the icing on the cake after you do a spin.
Okay. So there's a
Oh,
self-forgiveness component to this thing too.
oh yeah, absolutely. I've been PTSD, and I've been angry at my wife for all these years because of the bomb or whatever. And I've been incorrigible and hard to manage, and I don't know what I'm doing. I need to forgive myself. This is the way to do that. And it works powerfully. So that's another one of the two key tools. And there's a third tool I've talked about briefly, which is an inner mind psychology piece that's a different recipe that we also use. So I want to share with you what the results are. Imagine that in your home, in your life, it's cooperative, peaceful, unafraid, playful, harmonious, offendable, just plain happy. In this home that learns these things, moms and dads and kids have a secret sauce. Simple feelings recipes that turn emotional messes into magic. They breeze through the speed bumps of daily life, dodging sibling squabbles, tantrum tornadoes, and grumpy grown up moods. The result is a home where love flows, laughter sticks around, and everyone, big and small, gets to grow up happy, connected, and totally thriving. That's what we do with the class.
Hmm. Okay.
So that's enough said about all that. Anything?
You've got the course that will help them do that. Now you also have a class that's optional. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, what I have is optional is one-on-ones with me or my coaching team.
Okay.
Yes, we do that as well and available through the same email or the 435-703-0756. I give that number now, knowing that I won't be able to respond to it later. But for now, as we build this thing and we're kind of in beta testing, that it's going to grow. And when it does, the number won't be given out so freely.
Gotcha. 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 Let me ask you a little bit about this then, because you've talked about several different uses for this spin and for the work that you're doing. Um, One of the things that I deal with the most here in this program is men, of course. About 85% of our folks are men. About 75% of that 85% are fathers and husbands. Okay, and so that's what's that?
Fantabulous. I love talking to the men. Come on, man. I'm a
Well,
man. Get it.
that's who you're talking to right now. And so I know that one of the issues that we all have is as fathers and husbands especially is that we take everybody else's stuff on, but we never let our stuff out. And so I know that when I've talked to men in the past who have tried, I don't want to say things like this because this sounds fairly cutting edge here, but have tried to do a therapy thing or any kind of talk, with group or anything like that. They just find like some of the guys have said to me, I can't figure out the words. Kind of like when I was going through this process with you, and you mentioned, hey, I was able to pinpoint where I was feeling it, and most guys can't. What I've run into with a lot of the guys in my private group and things like that are that there aren't the words. We're not used to having to describe these things or having to work on ourselves, or dive deep into us. It's like that's sacred territory for so many of us. What do you say to men to maybe get them to open up, or what can we do to maybe make this more useful for us?
Well, the first thing that is, I think you're defining the difference between men and women, partly. Women, men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And so what that means is, let me tell you a story. I taught a class one time to the community here in St. George, Utah, library. A lot of people came, 60 people came out of nowhere. And it was called 50 Ways to Keep Your Lover. So I told the men what they were supposed to do, and the men were supposed to listen, listen, listen without trying to change the woman. Just listen. They'll figure it out, and they'll thank you as if you had figured it out. But the men said, "Oh, we're gonna die if we have to listen that much." And I said, "Yeah, you probably would, except what happens is the listening requirement goes down as women feel understood. It goes down fast. And they love you, and then they're gonna do loving things towards you because they love you, whatever that means." And so then I said to the women, "Okay, you guys, you gals, your job, really simple. Your job is to appreciate him, appreciate him, appreciate him without trying to manipulate him or control him at all. Just appreciate him." And the women went, "For what?"
I
For
mean, I'm
what?
listening to this and I'm going, good luck with this.
Yeah, right, right.
Right.
Yeah, right, right. So the women, we talked about it for a while. They decided they could find a few things. And I remember back in one time when I was doing therapy with my wife, the guy said, "Okay, just be thankful that he breathes." You know, that's it. Or he brings home a paycheck, something like that. So back around, this is a long way to answer your question. I don't want to hear, I don't need to, I'm willing to, but I don't need to hear all of your words of description of your story. I don't need them. All I need is a simple, and if you can't put a word to it, then just give a feel to it. And if you can tell me where you feel it, that'd be great. And usually you can, some can't, but most can't. And then we go the rest of the way through the process and it works. It works. And if it didn't work perfectly that time, we'll do it a different way until we figure out a way to get it to work properly for you. It's, we can custom fit this thing and you can have relief like you never believed you could. And your psychiatrist doesn't believe you could, and your psychotherapist doesn't believe you could, your friends don't believe you could, and the friends in the group are just sitting there, who is this guy, man? He must be off his rock to think that he could do better than the VA can do with us. And I'm going, I'm not against the VA. I'm here to support the VA. But I remember listening to a guy that went to VA groups from, he was blind and was a VA, and a vet. He just hated going to groups because they just made him feel worse. They
Yeah.
didn't get better. So he quit going to groups, and I don't know what else he did, but um, I there are other ways besides sharing your dirt and getting your dirt on you and everybody else at the same time that are very effective. And I'm not sure I would recommend that. At least at some point, it needs to stop for sure.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, you're talking about some real issues with, real men here, so I appreciate, yeah, I appreciate you having that to say. Um, the and again, having the male mindset in my mind and heart all the time with what it is I do here. You mentioned something in your bio. You made a mention of the Never Enough Club.
I did.
And that instantly resonated with me because I think that's how just about every guy I've ever met feels.
Well, even if they were appreciated to the max, they'd probably still feel like they were in the club.
Wow.
So I tell people I was the president of the Not Enoughters Club of America, which never existed. And I've fired myself from that. But I've rejoined periodically, but I'm getting to the point where I'm getting to the place where I actually like, love, and appreciate myself in ways I didn't do before. But I had to clear a lot of crap out of myself to be able to do that. Because if you're full of crap, you're not going to love yourself. You're
That's
gonna
fair. Yeah, that's
not gonna
fair.
appreciate. If you're just always reacting to your wife, you're not gonna appreciate yourself. If you're always living in depression all the time, you're not gonna love that. And you can
Right.
pretend to, but you ain't gonna. You can say I love you, but you weren't gonna mean it.
Okay.
So the answer to that question is that the feeling states have to be dealt with inside. They have to be changed, and one way or the other, released, replaced, and reprogrammed. And that is something that is now available. Um, through people like me that do what I do. And there are some of us, it's not only me, there are others. And I'm willing to give you the spin at a very low cost. I mean,
Excellent.
you come to the class, you'll probably have the basics right there. If
Cool.
you call me on the phone, I'll even give you a free spin to try it out so you can taste it. Then I'll help you work with the specific feeling states you need to release. And that can be done on a private basis or it can be done inside of a team in a family situation. Depends. Usually I do a lot of individualized work because it's your spin, it's your feeling. It's her feeling, not your feeling, it's hers. And if she's mad at you, she's got her feelings to deal with. And you may or may not feel responsible for those, but they are her feelings. And if she doesn't get clear about that and get past her feelings, there's nothing you can do to help her.
Right. I'm not sure she's going to understand that.
No, there's some massaging that goes on there. The first time I remember one lady came in and she said, my husband's been so abusive with me. And I happened to bring up the possibility that she could actually heal herself from all of the feelings that she had been feeling towards him. And she just walked out the door, and I knew her. I knew the lady. And she walked right out the door and said, I don't want to talk to you. And I said, I don't blame you. I should have said that like that. I should have softened it, and massaged you like the lady that came in after being through some spins with a co-counselor. And I was working with her husband, betrayal situation, and she was hating him because of the betrayal that she had in her mind when she walked in my door. 1 hour later, through the processes we did, which were advanced on this process, she said, I can't believe it. I absolutely love him. All of that hate is totally gone. How am I going to behave now? Help me transition into the loving wife because I don't know. My habits are so bad. But
Hmm.
she loved him in 1 hour. She went from total betrayal to totally loving her husband. I called her back 6 months later. She said, "My only regret is I didn't get that done a long time before."
Wow.
So these are real
Yeah.
life. We're talking about real life changing stuff. We're not going to spend a lot of time in talk. We're not going to spend a lot of time analyzing. We're going to spend our time in actually change work.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's what NLP is all about. As a matter of fact, that's what NLP is.
Okay.
And so there you go. Question for you or for me.
Yeah, I'm curious, the never enough club, like you're talking about, and that feeling of not being enough. And then you also mentioned the self-forgiveness module, that you have. Do you find that those two things very often are coinciding?
Yeah, because when you actually get the shame out and the blame out of self, well, then you are enough.
Hmm.
When you get that stuff out of you, then you go, oh, all that's left. I'll give you another example. My dad slapped me across the face once when I was a kid with my five other siblings who were female. He just reached back in the Rambler and hit me back here in the head. And it was the only time he ever hit me in my whole life. And so 50 years later, let's go. I was in at the farm and I said, Dad, did you remember doing that? He said, no. And so I determined it was up to me. So I took the spin and the forgiveness and I ran those. And all I could feel from that moment forward when I thought about that experience was total love for my dad. Nothing to blame anymore. So you got to go through
Okay.
these processes to know they work. Otherwise, if you don't taste them, you don't know what the salt tastes like.
I understand that. I understand exactly what you're saying right there in terms of being able to take that on yourself and take on the spin, like the way you just phrased it, especially. If I'm trying to heal myself,
Yeah.
there's a couple things that have to happen first. And the first thing is I have to be willing to take accountability for the fact that I can solve this. And the second thing is that I also can't play the victim anymore if I
Yeah.
accept the fact that I can change my situation and my feelings and everything else. Do you run into problems with that? Because it really seems like people kind of love to wallow in those two things.
The whole reason why we have a class for accountability and follow through with people and families because they have habits of self-shaming and other shaming and or victim.
Hmm.
There's one of the books that we share in the process of all this is called The Power of Ted by Emerald. And uh, that is all about the drama triangle, where one's the persecutor, one is the rescuer, and the other one um, uh, is the victim. Okay, so those three play off each other. Usually, the persecutor gets upset with the victim, and then the victim becomes the persecutor, and they're back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and they're like this. So, how do you get that down? How do you get this battle down? Well, you have to take one of those two and give them the gift of the spin or give them the gifts that they need to take care of themselves. And then when they feel better and they don't bark at this person when they lose it, this person can't bark for long without somebody to react.
Hmm.
So they come down and then they actually can talk. Oh, hi, honey, how you doing? So,
That's a high degree of accountability right there.
oh yeah. But, well, the thing that goes on is most people unfortunately don't know. They know they're accountable. They just don't know how to fix it, and so they self-shame to heck.
Hmm. I hadn't heard that one. That's an interesting take on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Hmm.
I if I'm if I'm out if I'm I react to my wife because she asked me to do the dishes or something, and I can't stop myself from doing that, well, I just self-shame myself. I can't even apologize because I'll do it again tomorrow.
Interesting. Now, you've mentioned NLP several times, and I think people know that it's neuro-linguistic programming, and I think they have an idea that it has to do with like how your brain interacts with the words you use. Can you give everybody a quick brief, just, what exactly is NLP, how it fits in with your model?
You know what? I think we just did. When we did the NLP a few minutes ago with the
Yeah.
spin, all that's what it's about.
So that's the whole thing.
It's about visualization, it's about representation, it's about getting things lined up right, you know, so that there is a mind change, there's a mind shift. And there's an art to that. It's not just, I mean, there's a recipe for that. And if you know how to use the recipe, you'll get the same cake every time.
I love the cooking references. Are you a chef?
No, I just eat chef's food.
All right, you're a foodie. I got you.
Well, you know, I enjoy the little bit I allow myself to eat.
Right on. Right on. Well, if you're only going to eat a little, you got to enjoy it. So that makes
Yeah,
total sense.
yeah. Take your time.
Absolute total sense. In NLP, is it the mind that is controlling the words that are used, or is it using the words controls how the mind functions?
Now you're talking about conscious and subconscious. Okay. And I think that's what you're saying. Basically, there's an old scripture that says, as a man thinketh,
Hmm.
people get stuck right there and they say, as a man thinketh, so is he. But the finishing touch is, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if you don't take care of the outside mind and the inside mind, you're never going to get where you really want to be. However, I found it's most people say, well, whatever you think, that's what you get. It's your thoughts make you feel crappy and so forth. And I'm going, yeah, that's true, but how do you change all that? You just repeat the same words in an affirmation every day, all day. Does that do it for you? No. It's when you change the feeling states that then works. When you take out that annoyance of your sister, and now all that loving stuff can
Hmm.
come in, those words can sink in and come together. But if you don't fix that, it's going to repel that. It'll repel it. It will not respond. Eventually, you can override it for a minute, but you can't override it forever if you don't change the hate you have inside.
Interesting. So you're using your mind to change the feeling.
Yeah, there's no question. It's a brain switching
Right.
opportunity. It's a brain switching process. And yes, you do use your mind, of course. And that's where everything lies is in your brain, your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, and then your
Right.
behaviors come out of that, right?
Right. But then once the feelings are changed, then that turns around and reinforces keeping the mind on the right track.
Yeah, yeah, that's the way it works.
That's really cool.
It's a little different
All
model
right.
than most people are used to. I think most people are used to, well, just do your affirmations, you'll be fine. And self-talk helps a lot. It is good. It just won't fix it. It won't cure it. You got to have that plus the shift inside, and then you got the whole banana. Then you can put the keys back in the piano.
You got great analogies, man. You really do. They definitely fit. All right. So men are sitting there at home, they're listening to this. They're going, man, this sounds really fascinating. How do I get started? And the idea is go to your website, check out the course.
Yeah, you can do that or just go ahead and reach out to the website to me personally. Well, and or my coach daughter, she's really fun to work with. She's best listener on the planet. And um, we'll get you set up. Just let me know what you need. We'll figure it out, whether it's the class, whether it's the the package for a family or for a couple or whatever. We have the tools. It's just a matter of finding your application. And I have a little assessment tool I use that assesses really briefly. It's in the book, actually. There's a brief part of it in the book. It goes 0 to 10. 10 is awful. How you doing with anxiety today? How you doing with mood? How you doing with depression? How you doing with headaches? How you doing with pleasing other people? How you doing with worries? Whatever. So there's about 10 of them there. And when we get those numbers on the paper, we know people need what we have. If those numbers are zeros, twos, when they get to two, in fact, I tell people my goal is to get you from 10 to 0 to 2. And that is what we do. That's exactly what happens. And we measure that and we get to enjoy it.
Interesting. Interesting. I mean, how'd you come up with this stuff? What made you want to start following the spin in the first place?
Well, I've been doing all the old school stuff forever, and it was
Right.
rough. In marriage counseling, it was negotiate, he said, she said, negotiate, and that didn't work. And so many things didn't work that I learned in my university 50 years ago. And and then other things as well. It was not getting people still liked me and appreciated and felt soothed and felt better and thought they got their a good ride, but it wasn't satisfying to me to just leave it all partially done.
Hmm.
I would be very unsatisfied to be a medical professional, a family practitioner, and just hand out drugs to people and that's it. That wouldn't satisfy me at all. I want things done.
Hmm.
They don't do that in the medical field.
Right.
Not very. It's almost never cured. It's just maintained.
I was going to say done equals fixed or cured, in what
Yeah,
you're talking
we're
about
we're
right now.
we're talking about at least major improvements on curing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, you know, fountain of youth. I'm not going to say perfection. I'm going to say, you know, better than that, better than we thought we could do. A lot better.
Well, I like this a lot. I like where it comes from. I like the fact that it's all kind of based and rooted in taking responsibility for things right off the bat. I mean, that is something that I think a lot of men are going to gravitate to. We like to try and take responsibility for ourselves, and if there's something broken, we want to fix it.
Yeah.
We don't want to band-aid it.
It's kind of really fun to be able to know you can do your own self-fixing most of the time you can. If she still hangs out in betrayal and you are completely free and you've gotten yourself straight and you're in alignment with your agreements, but she still does that, that becomes her issue. And it doesn't mean you beat her up about it. You don't victimize her or, persecute her for it. It just means you understand it. And by understanding it, you allow her the space in which to heal it
Hmm.
because she feels loved instead of attacked.
Fascinating, man. Really and
Yeah,
truly. All right. My goodness. I, I appreciate you bringing this here because it is a very different way of looking at things.
right.
And like I said, I talk to a lot of guys, and yeah, the whole time I'm listening to what you're telling me, I'm in my mind, how do I apply this? How would I apply this? How can I help them apply this? Um, the have you found that parents are able to kind of take this in and then transfer it to their families, or are you finding that like the family needs to come see a professional first and then get it reinforced at home with the parents?
I'm finding that most parents, sometimes we have a more serious piece. I mentioned a comprehensive tool
Hmm.
that has to be applied to mom or to dad. That's a bigger picture piece. Has picks up bigger processes bigger issues. So, but sometimes we have to do that. But most of the time, for most mid-range people, the what I've told you today will work just fine in the ways that I've talked to you. Now you can spend 10,000 bucks on a therapist if you want to out there and never get this done. You can. I know many people have done it with me, and I didn't get it done either 10 years ago. But now with what we have developed in the triple recipes we have, you can come, at a pittance of what you used to. I don't accept insurances, but it's probably going to be cheaper to go with me than pay the copay for something that doesn't work.
Well, it's always cheaper to fix something than it is to, keep it broken.
Oh, I sure hope so. So I think the best way for you and or those who are interested is to just email me, go to my website, go and read the book, read the books if you want. Um, just make contact. Just reach out and make contact. I'm not that hard to talk to, really. And I can listen, even though I talk a lot today. And there's some exciting things to do here. I'm really interested in you and the guys on this call, on this podcast today. I am really the most joy I get out of life, really, is in people lighting up and discovering, oh my gosh, I don't need you anymore. I can take charge of me. And they're done. And they do. And they're happy.
Wow.
They didn't realize it. Just turning that one corner is a big freaking deal, even if you don't get it perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Listen, I know that you've got a hard stop coming up, and I value your time, and I appreciate everything you've given us today. Let me, as we kind of wrap this up, just for the sake of that time, let me ask you, Michael, if there's anything I didn't ask you, if there's anything that maybe we hit on, but you want to make sure you drive home a little bit more, or if there's any really good leave behind or something like that you want to leave for our audience, last few minutes of our podcast are yours. Go for it.
You know, I guess the bottom line is I'll just speak for myself for a minute. I'm 76 years old. 76 trombones. And I woke up when I was 75 and went, how did this happen? I don't think this couldn't happen. I'm 75. You gotta be kidding me. What body am I in here? And I've worked really hard over most of my life to try to make things happy with my wife and with my children. I have 27 grandchildren, and it's a very happy family system. It's not perfect, but it's happy. And we get together and we really do love each other, and it's really fun. And that is worth its weight in gold to get that. And it's not perfect. I think my wife did most of the perfecting. I did, but I supported, and we some things got done well. So as we get older in life, in my case, oh, it's only probably been 10 or 15 years, I finally put in place a personal daily protocol. I get up in the morning, I do my spiritual thing, I do my gratitudes, I do my intentions, set my sights for the day. I set up anonymous service somewhere with my wife or somebody. I review my spin work if I have anything to do there. I review my self-forgiveness pieces I need to do there. I read my books that I like to read. I eat the good food I can find, whatever it is, the nutritionals, whatever I think works for me. And then we do the sauna and do a little bit of exercise, do a walk, and I get on my day. And I don't get up at 4 o'clock. I get up at usually 7 o'clock. So I'm not Miracle Morning. That book is a great one for that purpose, getting down a routine. But he talks about 4 or 5 in the morning, and I'm going, I like your book. I don't like your time.
I think a lot of people agree with that sentiment.
So what I'm really here to say is, you know what? It's if I can do it, you can, man. If I can do this, I'm just an ordinary guy with, you know, I trust me, I am an ordinary guy in many ways and most ways. And it's working. I can tell you it's working. And that is exciting to me. Makes me happy when I can get past my down all the opposition to life and find myself feeling happy in spite of it.
Nice.
That's what we're going for here. And that is possible for every one of us. I think a few of us are so beat up and, by traumatic brain injury or something that we may or may not be able to get there. That's possible. I mean, there are some pains going on with wounds and all kinds of things that are really tough. But I can tell you, this kind of work. can take a lot of the pain out of that.
Hmm.
And just like out of the tooth in the beginning, just like that. Not always 100% fixed, but at least maybe you can deal with the pain because you're not mad about it. You know?
There you go. There you go.
Anyway, really nice to get to know you, Roy. I'm so glad you're here on the podcast and that you serve this community. And the men. We men definitely need some support in this world. Oh my gosh. I think there's a lot of support for the women. I don't think us men have nearly the support that we need.
Yeah.
And I'm here to support you guys. If we wanted to do a class just for the veterans, I'd do it. Just for them.
Hmm.
If they want one, I'll do it. And we'll have whatever many come and we'll talk turkey. And I'm not a vet, but I have been in bed with the vets for a long time.
Good deal. I appreciate that offer. I know they do too. So that's I appreciate that very much. Thanks for saying all that. An ordinary guy getting extraordinary results right here is what we got. So I
I think so. I hope so.
appreciate you. All right. Master practitioner of NLP and family relationship coach Michael Blair, featuring his spin on the spin. Michael, thank you so much for coming here today, sharing everything you have, and putting it out there, for your kind words, and just for sharing. Really, I appreciate you. Thanks for being here today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Folks, this is another episode of the Power Man Podcast. And the reason that we bring powerful men like this on here with very powerful messages, like we've talked about today, taking accountability and taking ownership and, leaving victimhood behind is because, we support you fully in your mission to be a better protector, a better provider, a better leader tomorrow than you are today, to be a better man, a better husband, a better father tomorrow than you are today. And the reason that we want that for you is because you have value and because you're worth it. And at some point, you have to believe it. Until next time.